Hello and good evening, Chicago. Boy, wasn't that a pretty sight to come in tonight on? The sun is still out, it's shining, it's warm. It's just so much better than it was a week ago. But hey, we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about sports. Today is the last Monday in February, so that means March Madness is right around the corner. We've got conference tournaments coming up, and then we've got the big tournament coming up a little less than a month from now. Let's start some prep work for it. We are going to be talking all hoops today. We are going to be looking at Illinois men's hoops, Loyla Chicago men's hoops. We're even going to go up to Evanston and take a look at how Northwestern is doing, and downtown and check in on Depaul a little bit too. Breaking down how are these teams stacking up, what it might look like that gets seeding-wise into the national tournament for Illinois and Loyola. How deep of a run might those two teams make? Let's break it all down. Let's talk some hoops. And then, can't go a show without looking at the fact that Carson Wentz is no longer on the board for the Bears. I've got thoughts on that deal, how that went down, and what that means for the Bears. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Let's go. And welcome into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for continuing to come back and let me yak your ear off a little bit as we talk about sports in the best city in the country. And if you're a first-time listener, well, thank you. However you found me, whether it was through word of mouth or Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, however you found your way here, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I hope to keep you entertained and informed, and I hope you come back. If you are listening live on the Spreaker app, go right ahead and make yourself an account and log on in, and we can have some fun in the chat. Good evening, Taryn. Taryn is there as always. So if you want to interact that way, feel more than welcome. At the same time, if you just want to sit back and listen and let me do all the talking, that is fine too. Or if you're listening later on as a podcast, that's great also. Before we go too much further, of course, we need to talk about our sponsors for this week on IE Sports Radio. Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, well, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn a little more money part-time, well, then give them a call. You can call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. Follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at sims_uncut. Mom is Always Right Media. Are you feeling overwhelmed with schoolwork? Those essays keeping you up at night? Don't lose sleep, just pick up the phone. Mom is Always Right Writing Agency will give you quality essays, and we always make our deadlines. Sleep soundly knowing we are on the job. For more information, call 626-653-3649. It Goes Down in the PM. Make sure you check out the new episode of It Goes Down in the PM, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. Coffee After Dark. Don't miss the next chapter of your favorite love story. Check out the Season 2 premiere of Coffee After Dark, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. Thank you again to our sponsors this week, and ways then that you can interact with IE Sports. We are on the major social platforms: Twitter at IE Sports Radio, Instagram at IE Sports Radio, Facebook, search IE Sports Radio, or just go to our website, iesportsradio.com. All right, so the last couple weeks we have, of course, been focusing on the Bulls and the Blackhawks now that the NFL is done. Well, it's the end of February. College basketball is about to heat up big time. This is always the time of year for it. So let's dive in. We've got two major players that are almost guaranteed to make the tournament, and then we've got two teams that are going to have to go on some pretty spectacular runs in their respective conference tournaments to have any shot of making the big dance. Let's start with Loyola of Chicago. And Taryn chimes into the chat that Loyola men's volleyball lost to Ohio State twice this past weekend. Yes, Taryn did a good job of keeping both myself and then also Andrew Hagenbaugh, who does our Ohio show on Friday evenings, the State of Ohio Sports. He let us know about that men's volleyball match that was going on, and Ohio State did get the better of them, but that's all right. Loyola will make up for it in other ways, I am sure. And if you like to keep up on all things volleyball, Taryn is your guy. Taryn does an excellent show on Tuesdays, Set Point. You want to check that out. He follows everything that could possibly be followed volleyball-wise, whether it be collegiate, professional. Yes, there's professional volleyball, whether it's Olympics. He even does some prep work. Taryn's your guy for all things volleyball, so be sure to check that out on Tuesdays. That's Set Point here on IE Sports Radio. Well, let's start off the show talking about the Loyola men's hoops program. Currently, they are the conference leader in the Missouri Valley, and they are ranked 21st in the country. Now, this has been a topsy-turvy, crazy men's basketball season. I can't remember. I was just looking at the rankings when they updated earlier today. I can't remember the last time that I've seen Alabama ranked in the top 10 in men's hoops, but there they are at number 6 overall, and you're missing a lot of the blue bloods. Guys like North Carolina and Duke and Kentucky are nowhere to be found in the AP Top 25. But then you look at number 21, there is Loyola Chicago, and making a big name for themselves, and deservedly so. They have priding themselves this year defensively on defense. They have the top scoring defense in the nation, giving up just 55.7 points per game. They're 6th overall in the nation in scoring margin. By average, they're outscoring their opponents by 16 points every night. 19-4 overall, 14-2 in the Missouri Valley. They are a half game in front of Drake, the only team really that would seem to be a contender for the Missouri Valley Conference title at this time. They're going to be finishing out the regular season here this coming weekend, a couple of matches against Southern Illinois, and then they will be getting ready for Arch Madness down in St. Louis, the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. They had, before losing in overtime to Drake back on Valentine's Day, the Ramblers had won 11 straight games before that overtime loss, 51-50 against Drake back on Valentine's Day. They then turned that around and won against Valparaiso last week, midweek on last week Wednesday. The big leader for this team on the floor is senior Cameron Krutwig. Team leader across the board, whether it's points per game, rebounds, assists, blocks. He's leading the team all across. 15 points a game, just over 6.5 boards per game, 3 assists, and 1 block per game average. He might be in line for an All-American this year. If he gets that, he would be the first Rambler to get All-American honors since Alfredrick Hughes way back in 1985. That even predates me a little bit. So, Coach Porter Mosier, of course, they made the historic run a few years ago all the way to the Final Four. He's got this team back to make a run. Certainly, they should get into the NCAA tournament. Things can always happen. Crazy things can always happen when you've got a conference tournament, and especially this year, you've got the added craziness of COVID going on at any point in time. If any one of these kids gets sick, who knows what could happen. But this is a team that certainly looks like it should be able to clinch a seed into the big dance and then make it beyond the first weekend. Might be able to make it into the Sweet 16 or beyond. Obviously, it all is going to depend on what seed they get, what ranking they wind up with, who they draw for that first weekend, not only for the first game, but who they might get in a second round or third round or whatever the heck they call it now. To me, it's always going to be the second round. Those play-in games, to me, those are their own separate thing. The second round match, whoever they draw in that, obviously that's going to affect who they get and their likelihood of making it into the Sweet 16 and beyond. But you've got to like their chances. You've got to like their chances. A good friend of mine, Matt Garner, whom you're going to be getting to know a little bit more here in a couple of weeks, he does bracketology. And he's quite good at it. And normally when he puts it out, he will map out the entire. He'll give you the entire field of 64 plus the play-in games. He'll give you your last 4 in, even your first 4 out. He even this year is doing the next 4 out, and he's usually within a seed of where these guys wind up. He's actually got Loyola right now as a 5 seed. When he messaged this over to me earlier today, my eyes about shot out of their sockets. I said, Loyola as a 5? Seriously? Now, he is full disclosure, he is a Valparaiso fan, which makes him a fan of the Valley Conference, and he loves to see the Valley do well and get well represented. So I said, is there something going on here, Matt? And he said, yeah, maybe I'm a little high, but they've got an NCAA tournament ranking right now system that he and others use, very similar to the old RPI kind of a system that would put them as a 13, which is a very, very high overall. So you're talking, you spread that out over 4 quadrants. Yeah, that's a 4 or a 5 seed. That's not inappropriate. I wouldn't be shocked to see the committee put them a little lower just because you don't have, there's still not the big name recognition of some of the other schools out there. But again, this is a weird year where a lot of your blue bloods are going to be on the outside looking in once we get to the dance. So who knows? Chicago could, Loyola could wind up as a 5 seed, and in that case, things are going to be interesting then. Taryn asks in the chat, which Chicago men's basketball team goes the farthest? Well, Taryn, I'm gonna throw this back at you then for a second. Are you wanting me to include University of Illinois in that, because technically they're down in Champaign, which is south. Do you want me to include them in that discussion before I answer that question, or do you want me to keep it more localized to the schools like Loyola, like Depaul, like Northwestern? So I'll let you respond to that before I give you an answer, but I will give you my thoughts on how long Chicago might be paying attention to the tournament this year, especially when we get talking about Illinois and Brad Underwood's guys. And Taryn, okay, you can include Illinois if you want. All right. If I'm including Illinois is going to go a long ways. They're currently ranked 5th in the country right now. They've got 3 superstar players that are doing really well. I'm going to break down Illinois a little bit more after this break. If I'm including Illinois, I would expect Illinois to go further. If you're just keeping it localized to Loyola, Northwestern, DePaul, Loyola is the one that I absolutely would expect to make the deepest run in the NCAA tournament. Coach Porter Moser, he has been getting there's some talk that he might be getting some attraction elsewhere from some other mid-majors. I saw over the weekend that Boston College may look at courting him for their head coaching vacancy. He has done a fantastic job with this program in the 10 years that he's been running Loyola. I'd hate to see him leave because he has done such an awesome job building up the program, but at the same time, if it's a good opportunity for him and he wants to take it, he certainly earned the opportunity to take that next step. But I would expect Loyola, if they get in the dance, which I expect that they should, barring some kind of collapse in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, or if Drake beats them in the conference tournament and the committee decides that the Missouri Valley shouldn't get any at-large bids, which I think would be a crime if Loyola doesn't win the conference tournament and then the committee says, no, sorry, you're not good enough. I think something's wrong there, but at the same time, it's the committee, and when you're dealing with smaller mid-major programs, they're always going to give precedence to the bigger name schools just because that draws more eyeballs to the television, and if they're going to have them this year, butts in the seats for the big dance. So they're not a lock to get in, but at the same time, Loyola certainly controls its own destiny there to get into the dance. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about those Fighting Illini, the Illinois men's basketball team. We will break down them and how far just might Illinois go in the big dance. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, so we started off with Loyola men's hoops. Now let's go a little south of the city a little bit, and let's go check in on the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. These guys are for real. Right now, ranked 5th in the AP poll, 16-5 overall, 12-3 in the Big Ten. They are 2nd in the Big Ten, only behind University of Michigan. But they are currently on a 7-game winning streak, and they are legit. Coach Brad Underwood has done a marvelous job of kind of resisting his own instincts when he first took over with the team a few years ago. he was trying to do things that I heard a great quote this morning. He was trying to do things that, and these were coming from the perspective of other Big Ten coaches and athletic directors who obviously were remaining anonymous. But it was what he was trying to do were things that worked at the mid-major level, but you just couldn't necessarily get away with at the Big Ten. Just trying to be chaotic with your defense and trying to keep everybody on their toes all the time and not as structured. And while that can work when you're at some of the mid-major levels and there's a huge talent discrepancy between the top of the conference and the not top of the conference. In the Big Ten, everybody's good. You've got to be a bit more structured. You've got to have a bit more of an idea of what to do, on how to attack, on how to go about it, playing night in and night out. And they went back and they really worked on overhauling their offense from a year ago. Now their focus is they still want to be up-tempo. They still want to be quick, but now they're focusing more on spacing, which is allowing for better looks and open looks from three. The Fighting Illini this year, they're in the top 15 nationally in three-point shooting, hitting 39% of their threes. The big three guys that you need to pay attention to: Ayo Dosunmu, Trent Frazier, and Kofi Cockburn. Kofi Cockburn is the big man. He is, to use an old saying, he's the straw that stirs the drink. They put him down low, and that forces everybody else, that forces the other team to respect him and respect his presence. They can't sell out on defending the three, which then allows for better looks and open looks from three. Dosunmu, meanwhile, is having a career year for the Fighting Illini. He's averaging just over 21 points a game, just over 6 rebounds a game, and a shade over 5 assists per game, all while shooting 49.4% from the floor. All career highs. He's somebody that's going to be in contention for the Player of the Year award. He is somebody that absolutely is going to go play professionally. He's somebody that absolutely the Illini can count on crunch time when things get going. Then Trent Frazier is another guy that is hitting his shots when they're there, and if teams are figuring out ways to take out Cockburn and somehow limit Dosunmu, then Frazier's another guy that they can count on to get hot, hit some threes, and just overall continue to keep the offense moving. When I was getting ready for this show this week, I mentioned I was talking with my friend Matt Garner. Another friend I would talk to, my friend Tim, who is a big Illini basketball fan. He was singing their praises. He pointed out that if there's a frustrating thing with the Illini, they'll play down to the level of their competition, but they figure out ways to, in the end, win the game. They still figure out ways to pull it out in the end. And especially in a conference like the Big Ten, that's saying something. The Big Ten is always good when it comes to basketball. The Big Ten is, for as much attention as it gets in the fall with football, with Ohio State and Michigan to some degree, not so much Illinois. The Big Ten is a hoops conference. The Big Ten this year, 11 of the 14 teams in the Big Ten are posting winning records. Matt Garner in his bracket. And again, Matt's going to be joining me here in a couple of weeks to kind of give a preview for Selection Sunday and go through the bracket. Again, you do not want to miss this. If you do any kind of office pools or any kind of bracket anything, you're going to want to check that out in a couple of weeks when Matt Garner and I sit down and discuss brackets a little bit. Matt's got 9 Big Ten teams making the dance this year. 11 of the 14 teams overall have winning records. They've got 5 teams ranked in the AP Top 25. 4 of those are in the top 10, and 3 of them, including Illinois, are in the top 5. The Big Ten is a tough as nails conference. So to be able to night in, night out, even when maybe you're not having your best stuff, for the Illini to figure out ways to win. And again, they're still on a 7-game winning streak right now. They just beat the pants off Minnesota on Saturday. I don't mind they had to pull that one out. They're in a tough conference. They're going to get into the big dance, and that first weekend, I would expect that they'll get through the first weekend and kind of feel like, wow, man, that wasn't as tough as we thought it would be. That was actually kind of laid back from what we've been facing for the last couple months with all these Big Ten games. Right now, again, going back to Matt's bracketology, he's got Illinois as a 1 seed, as one of the 4 1 seeds. I don't know that they're necessarily going to wind up with that. I think the Big Ten is honestly going to be in a little bit of trouble that way because they've got so many good teams that come conference tournament time, they might beat up on each other a little bit, and you might see only Michigan, Ohio State, or Illinois, only one of those 3 schools actually winding up with a 1 seed, even though you could very easily make the case for all 3 of those schools that they should get a 1 seed. I don't see that. Certainly not all 3 of them will, and I honestly wouldn't think 2 of them would. I wouldn't be shocked if one of them, either Illinois or Ohio State. I think if Michigan wins the tournament, I think if Michigan wins the Big Ten, Michigan's probably a lock for a 1 seed. But still, even getting a 2 or a 3 seed into the dance, Illinois can go places. And as long as they continue to play their game, and obviously there's always luck when you get into the tournament. There's luck of the draw. There's luck of what school do you wind up facing. You know, how does the bracket actually line up for you? But Illinois should be a school that, as long as they stay healthy, they don't run into COVID problems, and as long as they don't go, have a really bad off night at the worst time, Illinois should be looking at a Final Four appearance this year in the Big Dance. So that'll be exciting, and that'll be fun to watch. Illinois, it's been a long time for Illinois. Obviously, nobody made the tournament last year. They probably were going to make it a year ago had things not finished the way that they did. But it's been a long time since Illinois has really been relevant in a tough conference year in and year out like the Big Ten. And hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the Illini program. But I would expect some great things to happen from Illinois in this tournament. And looking at a deep, deep run, possibly Final Four, possibly even a championship, depending on how it all plays out. All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and then we've got two other schools a little bit closer to town that we need to break down. We got to talk about Northwestern and Depaul. And then I can't get out of here without talking about the Bears and their quarterback situation now that the Carson Wentz trade has gone down. So stick around. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back in a bit.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Want to give one more shout out to our sponsors again this week. Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give them a call. You can call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. Follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at sims_uncut. Mom is Always Right Media. Are you feeling overwhelmed with schoolwork? Those essays keeping you up at night? Don't lose sleep, just pick up the phone. Mom is Always Right Writing Agency will give you quality essays, and we always make our deadlines. Sleep soundly knowing we are on the job. For more information, call 626-653-3649. It Goes Down in the PM. Make sure you check out the new episode of It Goes Down in the PM, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. And Coffee After Dark. Don't miss the next chapter of your favorite love story. Check out the Season 2 premiere of Coffee After Dark, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. While we were at break there, I got a text actually from Matt. He chimed in talking about Illinois, pointed out that another advantage that the Illini will have this year with this tournament is the entire tournament is being held just across the border in Indiana, in the Indianapolis area. That's going to be a huge advantage for Illinois because the fans won't have very far to travel to go to support them. The furthest site away from Champaign is going to be Bloomington, which is very drivable, a very easy one to do. And so the limited capacity that the tournament's going to be looking at doing in Indiana, they're kind of trying to set up a quasi-bubble for this year's tournament. So instead of having all the sites bouncing all around the country, they're just trying to locate it in Indiana. For the Fighting Illini, that's going to be a huge advantage. I mean, also for Loyola fans, that's going to be a big advantage. You don't have necessarily very far to go to be able to still support your teams. That's the Big Ten in general is definitely going to benefit from the location of the tournament. So some other housekeeping things there. Taryn also texted during the break that he's still listening, but he's been kind of quiet this week because he's doing some prep work, not only for Set Point tomorrow, but he's also getting ready for his live call. He is going to be calling a basketball game that you can hear over on USRN tonight. He is going to be doing the Oregon game. I'm wanting to get the information right here. I apologize for my little delay here. He's going to be doing the Oregon USC game on USRN. So if you're a little bit of a night owl and you want to have some good hoops going on in the background, some Pac-12 basketball action, you can just go on to USRN and the Ultimate Sports Radio Network. Check them out, and Taryn will give you the call there tonight for Oregon versus USC. Some other stuff coming up on the station. Tomorrow, we've got the return of The Defining Moment with Larry B. It's his flagship show. He does all sports all the time on that. He's been taking a little bit of a hiatus from it. He's had some other things in the works, including the new show he's doing on Fridays, the Sports Couple Perspective that he does with his girlfriend Felicia. You can check them out on Fridays, but he is returning tomorrow at 11 Central Time, 11 in the morning Central Time, with The Defining Moment, so you can check that out. And then also returning tonight, you may have heard in the drops there, in the ads there, the Bases Loaded. They are coming back tonight. Tonight is the Season 3 debut for Bases Loaded. Brandon Buckingham and H-Town Blake will be breaking down all things MLB for you. Spring training is underway, so the boys will be kicking off the rust and getting things ready for the upcoming baseball season. So you can check them out 9 o'clock Central tonight. Their show is broadcast on StreamYard and on YouTube, so be sure, just go to IE Sports on either our website or our Twitter feed, and you can find them, and be sure to check those guys out. All right. Oh, I apologize. Taryn, thank you. I apologize. Oh, my goodness. I got Larry's girlfriend's name wrong. I am so sorry. Cecilia, not Felicia. I apologize. Thank you, Taryn. Do not apologize for calling me out on that. That is, I apologize for that. Thank you for correcting me. No, sorry. I apologize. Woo! I promise. It was a total mistake on my part. Oh my goodness, Larry. I hope you don't get in trouble. All right, so with that, we've got two more teams in the city to talk about hoops, Northwestern and Depaul. We'll start with Northwestern. Wildcats got off to a hot start this season. They were 5-1, 6-1, chugging along. They had some good wins that looked very impressive. At one point, they beat Michigan State when Sparty was the fourth-ranked team in the country. Things looked good. And then the calendar turned to 2021, and boy, things have not gone well up in Evanston since then. The Wildcats have dropped their last 13 straight. They are now 6-14 overall. They are long shots, to put it mildly, to make the big dance. They would need to go on a tear through the Big Ten tournament and get through a lot of teams to make their way into the dance. It was a promising start for the Wildcats, getting off 5-1, but then the calendar flipped and they started doing pretty much exclusively Big Ten games, and they just have not held up at all in the Big Ten. It has been a rough 2021 for the Wildcats basketball. So we'll see. Hopefully they can close things out here and at least get a couple of more Big Ten wins under their belt before the close of the regular season. And who knows, maybe they can make a little bit of a push in the tournament, but I would be shocked if Northwestern gets into the big dance. They're going to need a ton of help and go on a heck of a run in the Big Ten tournament if they want any shot of making it into the tournament. And then the same goes for DePaul. The Blue Demons they're still just struggling. 4-10 overall. They did win on Saturday. They beat St. John's. Before that, they were on a 5-game losing streak. They've won just twice in the Big East. They're 2-10 overall in Big East play this season. They're another one that it's going to take a miracle to wind up in the big dance for the Blue Demons. Depaul they're a team that's really struggled to stay relevant. They made a little bit of a push last year and the year before that, a little bit of a push to maybe sneak in and maybe be a little relevant, but overall they can't seem to put it together. I know they recently got a new athletic director, and maybe with a little more time they can figure some things out, but for the other two major, mid-major, major programs in the city, DePaul being in the Big East and Northwestern being in the Big Ten, they're still gonna need a lot of help and need to go on big runs in their respective conference tournaments if they want any shot of getting into the big dance. I will be talking about those schools a bit more next week, though, because their women's basketball programs are both ranked nationally in the top 25. I want to give them some props and call some attention to what those gals are doing both at Northwestern and at DePaul and talk about them. So next week I will be giving a little bit of a breakdown for the upcoming women's side of things in collegiate basketball, and I'll definitely be giving more time and more talk to Northwestern and DePaul at that point. All right. So that was a lot of hoops to go through. And by the way, one other programming note, if you like basketball, but you're looking for a show to give you some more basketball talk, IE Sports Radio's got you covered. Fast Break, Sunday nights, 7 Central. Davidson and Dentarius Locke, they do an awesome job breaking down all things hoops, whether it's the NBA or collegiate. Be sure to check them out Sundays at 7. Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke, Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio. All right. So now that we're wrapping up the show here, we've got just a few minutes left. Let's change gears and go over to football for a minute. So, of course, there was buzz with Carson Wentz that the Bears were one of realistically 2 teams in on getting Carson Wentz. And I'd said before, I was okay with the overall idea of trading for Carson Wentz. I thought he was a great buy low kind of prospect, a guy that, hey, if you could get him at a relatively inexpensive trade price, then he'd be somebody to look at getting, because there's still something there in the tank. He was in the MVP running back in 2017. He had a great 2018. He's had health issues, had a horrible, awful 2020. But if you can get him for the right price, I'm not opposed to Carson Wentz. But it felt like the more obvious spot for him to get traded to was Indianapolis, to go to the Colts. And sure enough, last week, the Colts traded for him. The deal they sent over was a pretty good one. It was a 3rd rounder this year and then a 2nd round pick next year that could turn into a 1st round pick provided he stays healthy. If Carson Wentz plays 75% of the team's snaps or just 70% of the team's snaps and they make the playoffs, then it turns into a 1st round pick. So obviously what I take from that, and I chimed in with Justin, the host of High Octane Entertainment here on IE Sports Radio on Saturdays. He keeps an eye on all things Indianapolis sports for us. And I checked in with him on Saturday during his show, and he kind of agreed with me that looking at that trade, that tells me that the Colts, their biggest concern with the deal was Carson Wentz's injury history, that they were concerned. They didn't want to pay for a guy that's going to be in rehab all the time for an injury problem. So it feels like the Colts with Coach Frank Reich, they feel like they can solve Wentz. They can figure out something. And if they're right, man, they could make a deep run in a very heavy AFC, but in a division that could be ripe for the taking. They're in the AFC South. But what does that mean for the Bears? There's not a whole lot of great, intriguing options still out there that I've heard Derek Carr's name get tossed out there, that they could reach out to Vegas and trade for him. That move doesn't thrill me. Getting a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, no thanks. We've already got a guy like that on the roster. So I'm leaning towards, and of course Deshaun Watson is still out there to be had. And who knows, the more other guys like Wentz get off the board and the market dries up a little bit, Watson might become more attainable. It really boils down to, do the Texans really want to trade him, and does Deshaun want to get out of Houston? If that's the case, if both Deshaun, and he's publicly said, he's publicly asked for a trade, the Texans have continued to say that we're gonna hang on to him. We don't want to move him. If that remains the case, then obviously you're not going to go for Watson. But if they want to move him, the fact that these other pieces have fallen and the other trade options, there's not a whole much else to go that could change the market a little bit for either direction. So it'll be interesting to see what Watson happens there. But more and more, I'm thinking in reality what's going to happen is they're going to roll with Nick Foles to at least start the season, and then they're going to draft a kid. And it's either the first round or the second round that they're going to draft somebody. They're going to groom that person, and Foles is simply going to be the placekeeper until that kid is ready. So we'll see how well that pans out, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, that is our show for this evening. Thank you to Taryn hanging out in the chat with me tonight. Thank you to Larry checking in on the chat. Thank you to Matt Garner checking in with me during the show, texting me. And again, in a couple of weeks, be sure to tune in when Matt and I, in a couple of weeks, do a bracketology preview, what he suspects the Selection Sunday bracket is going to look like, and how then the bracket's going to move from there. Again, coming up later tonight, be sure to check out the Season 3 debut of Bases Loaded. Brandon and H-Town Blake, not want to miss it. They do an excellent job covering the MLB. And thank you to all of our sponsors, Legacy Financial, Mom is Always Right Media, those podcasts that they do. It happens, it goes down in the PM. Be sure to check out all of their stuff that they've got going. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun to do, and it's fun to just talk sports and know that things can escape and not be so serious for a little bit. Speaking of serious, everybody please continue to stay safe, to stay healthy, listen to doctors, listen to the people talking to the doctors. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. Let's get through this and get through to the other side. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. Come back next week. I will be breaking down some women's hoops, getting ready for the women's national tournaments coming up. Until then, Be good. We'll see you next week.